Good morning. What's up, fellow Hoops fans? Welcome back to another episode of The Last Shot NBA show right here on Little Birdie TV. And as always, we are brought to you by our great mates over there at topsport.com.au. Now, the whole country of Australia is in uproar, and no, it's got nothing to do with the election. It is regarding the selections of the all-rookie NBA teams. And there was a name that was maybe snubbed off. So we're bringing on old mate BK to talk all things Josh Giddey. BK, my man, how you doing?
I'm good. I demand an investigation.
There was a lot of people calling for an investigation yesterday, BK. A lot of Aussies were upset over the lack of inclusion from Josh Giddey into the first team, because I might add that he was put onto the all-rookie second team. So they were announced yesterday. The all-rookie first team was Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, and Franz Wagner. And then the second team was Ayo Dosunmu, I hope I got that right, Chris Duarte, Josh Giddey, Bones Highland, and Herb Jones. Now, BK, Giddey, the man who won 4 consecutive Western Conference Rookie of the Month awards, the man who became the youngest ever recorded triple-double, and then backed it up not too long after that as well, was apparently not good enough to make an all-rookie team. First of all, we are going to get to Giddey's response in a second, BK, but I want to ask you whether you feel he was snubbed or not.
What are we doing here? This guy won four Western Conference Rookie of the Month awards, as you said, 4 out of the 5. And then obviously Jalen Green was the other from the West. It's tough because if he played all the season, it's a lock. It's not even a question, but he only played the 54 games, obviously after the All-Star break, was sidelined with that hip injury. And ultimately, I think that's what cost him here was the games played, because when you look at the stats, the resume, I mean, he was first among rookies in assists, second in rebounding, 8th in scoring, first in triple doubles. Like, the resume adds up, but the math ain't mathin', you know?
The math definitely ain't mathin', but I hear what you're saying, BK, and I agree with you, but I'm just going to play devil's advocate for a second, right? Because I do think that the 54 games that he played did work against him. And I think, again, I agree with you. Ultimately, that is what cost him that first team. When you look at that first team, who do you take out of those 5, right? The only one that I'm sort of looking at is probably Jalen Green, because I think the other guys, you may make a case for Cade Cunningham, but ultimately I think he deserves the spot, right? Obviously, we know Scotty Barnes was the Rookie of the Year. Evan Mobley was we thought he was going to win Rookie of the Year for the majority of the season. Maybe Franz Wagner as well. I don't know, but I'm looking at maybe Jalen Green as the one to sort of, drop out if Giddey goes in. But then again, I thought Jalen Green had a pretty good end to the season for him. You know what I mean? And obviously he's a better scorer than Josh Giddey. And again, I know that it's not just simply scoring that goes into it, but who would you take out for Giddey?
Yeah, that's the tough part, because if you're going to say someone's in, someone's got to be out. Mobley, Barnes, and Cunningham, they all received 100 first place votes. They were unanimous, so they're locks. And Wagner, I think in terms of consistency and doing everything, Wagner definitely earned his spot. And then when you look at Jalen Green averaged 17.3 points, just behind Cade Cunningham. I think he was on 17.4 points. So effectively, the leading scorer among rookies. And the last 6 weeks to 2 months of the season, Jalen Green was awesome. It was like a nightly 30-point kind of situation with him. He really came on late. But that's probably the guy you have to go with. His first half of the season, was slow. He didn't really quite sort of reach the heights that we knew he was capable of as a number 2 pick. But then the second half of the season, he looked a lot like a number 2 pick. So it's tough. He's probably the guy that you would sub in for Giddey, but this wasn't even close when you look at the voting breakdown. Giddey only got 24 first-team votes for this one. And if you look at Jalen Green, let me get the vote up here. He had 58 first-team votes. So it wasn't like he just snuck in ahead of him. Like, this was it was nearly triple the amount of first-team votes. So you can't hate. He definitely earned his spot on that team. But ultimately for Giddey, I think it just did come down to games played. He only played 54 games. But I'm letting my bias show. Put that man in.
Yeah, listen, I with you, man. We're going to support our Aussie brethren as much as we can. I just don't think it was as egregious of a snub that a lot of people are trying to make it out to be. Giddey did have a reply to the selection news yesterday. He had a tweet with a shot. So he's already having a bit of a laugh at that. He definitely feels like he should have been in that first team. Look, nothing he can do about it now. I know Giddey's going to come back. He's going to have an amazing second season. With OKC, they're going to have a pretty high draft pick as well. So we'll see who they can add to play alongside him and SGA, of course. So the only way he can shut him up now is, make it right, is maybe get an all-star selection next year.
Hey, I'm gonna have those voting results taped to my locker if I'm Josh Giddey all next season. Just add that to the fuel.
I feel like there's not enough young guys doing that anymore. You know what I mean? That whole taking things to heart and just, having that motivation on their locker room and,
Yeah. Are we still doing bulletin board material?
Yeah. It's not a thing anymore. Bring it back, says the old man in his chair.
Yeah, everything's digital now. I don't know if we even have bulletin boards anymore.
All right, BK, let's move on. We're going to start talking a bit about the conference finals, both the East and the West. We're going to start off in the West. And the Golden State Warriors absolutely trounced the Dallas Mavericks yesterday. This game was not even close. And I can't remember. I think Parky will tell us. I'm sure Parky will remind us later on, but I'm pretty sure I picked Dallas in that game. Parky's giving me the thumbs up. I did pick Dallas. I did pick Dallas in that game, and boy, was I wrong. They smashed the Mavs yesterday, 112-87 to go up 1-0. It wasn't so much the fact that they won, it was how they won, BK, because there was a lot of defensive plays from a lot of people on that. It was a lot of contributions right across the board from the Golden State Warriors on both ends of the floor. I mean, they held Luka to just 20 points on 6 of 18 shooting. He had 7 turnovers, which is more than the actual field goals made. And the Warriors held him to just 16.7% shooting on contested field goal attempts, which is a career playoff low for Luka Doncic. BK, what did you make of that demolition?
Man, they were contesting everything. That was my big question going into this series was, all right, Gary Payton, he's out. Who's the guy that's going to come in and be able to just bother and blow up space and blow up pick and rolls and affect the game on the defensive side? Because Clay's not the same defender that we've known him to be. And to be honest, I did not see that coming from Andrew Wiggins. I knew he would get some time on Luka Doncic, but man, when that guy tries, when he really is engaged defensively, he has all of the tools in terms of length and athleticism to just harass perimeter players. And they really just cut off the dribble penetration. And that's why you kind of saw they were getting nothing at the rim, because if you got past Wiggins, Draymond was waiting right there. The secondary line was in sync. So they ended up just having to jack up a lot of threes, and they went 11 for 48. And when you're just trying to hit bailout threes against a scrambling Warriors defense, we saw Draymond go out to the corner and swat Finney Smith. They were just everywhere in terms of activity. So the Mavs have some adjustments to make, because the Warriors are not the Suns or the Jazz.
No, and this is, you're looking at, if you're the Mavs, you're looking at this now, you got to try to figure out how you're going to defend space too, right, on the other end of the floor, because like you said, they're not the Suns, and the Suns are not a 3-point shooting team like the Golden State Warriors are. So Jason Kidd's going to have to make a few adjustments on both sides there. And we saw yesterday, the Warriors really switched it up with the defense. They were playing some 1-3-1 at one point. Then they were going into a 2-3 zone. So they were really making it hard for the Mavericks to sort of, like you mentioned, penetrate and get inside to the paint. Offensively, the Warriors got contributions right across the board. Steph had a pretty, I'm not going to say poor, but it wasn't his best shooting game. He had 21 points, led the game with 12 rebounds, actually. Clay gets all 15 of his in the second half. Draymond had 10 and 9. Wiggins and Jordan Poole both getting 19 points. These contributions are going to be huge for the Golden State Warriors. I'm looking at them now as the favorite to win this NBA championship. And look, that could be a little bit reactionary based off one game, but they looked really, really good when they're all in sync like that.
Yeah, man, I don't think that's crazy. Once it got down to these 4 teams, it really did seem like the Warriors were in the best position in terms of momentum and the fact that they were playing the Dallas Mavericks instead of the Phoenix Suns. in the conference finals. But on their home floor, especially, like that's going to be the tough one. Like, can Dallas win in Golden State in any of these games? And it's going to be tough because Golden State can go on the road and get things done. But I'm still confident that the Dallas Mavericks will find a way. I think they'll win a couple of games in this series for sure. I think they'll do the job at home. But man, Golden State is just a different problem when you look at just how experienced they are. These guys have all been there before. Steph, Clay, Dre, they've all been in big playoff games, big finals games. This is all new for Dallas. Like everyone here is, making their first run to the conference finals. So yeah, I think game one was probably just a little bit more of an adjustment. Like you could even see leading up to the game, they were not used to that many cameras being around. Like the whole environment is new for the Dallas Mavericks. So we'll see how they regroup for game two. I don't think it'll be as comprehensive, but yeah, Luka Doncic isn't playing that badly for multiple games. That's the other thing. Like he's definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely going to bounce back. I just really quickly, before we move on to Jimmy Butler, I want to touch on, did you see that photo of Luka Doncic drinking that beer that was allegedly, listen, I don't know if that's an old photo or not, because, obviously you don't want to believe everything you see on Twitter without, some sort of backing behind it. But listen, if he's doing that, listen, my family's from the Balkans too. I know what that Balkan diet consists of, right?
Hey, I apparently it's an old photo. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but even if it isn't, it just makes me feel better because Luka just lives like me.
Yeah.
Drinking beer, smoking hookers.
All right, BK, let's go over to the Eastern Conference now. We're going to talk a little bit about the Miami Heat and in particular, Jimmy Butler, right? Because Jimmy Butler had an absolutely sensational game in game one against the Boston Celtics. 41 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. I spoke just now about being reactionary, BK. And, I feel like the NBA world is reactionary, especially in this age of social media and things like that. I feel like Jimmy Butler hasn't been getting the due that he's, deserved. I feel like even at this point, Jimmy Butler, BK, might even be underrated as to how good he actually is.
In terms of being a playoff performer, definitely. And I mean, look, he didn't have a great postseason last year, but we are not that far removed from him carrying the Heat to the NBA Finals. And the thing that I like about Jimmy Butler is he wants these moments. He's not a regular season put up numbers guy. Like he's a let's go to war and someone's gonna die kind of player. Like he's ready for these moments, and especially when you have guys like Kyle Lowry that are out, he really has to be like the main man on this team. And when he's getting contributions from guys like Vincent, Harrow, and Adebayo as well, like it's all going to stop with Jimmy Butler because he's a playoff performer, and we saw that again in game one.
Listen, I love Jimmy Butler. I've been a big fan of Jimmy Butler's, since his Chicago days, and we've seen what he's done with every team that he's been on: Chicago, Minnesota, Philadelphia. You look at Philadelphia now. Joel Embiid's still wishing that he could be playing with a player like Jimmy Butler. Teammates love him because of those reasons that you just named as well. He's a true leader. He will go out. He will give 100% on the floor. Like I said, I feel like he's a little bit underrated, doesn't quite get his dues. Jimmy Butler may feel a little bit the same way. We've got a clip from Stephen A. Smith that, Jimmy Butler texted Stephen A. Smith after game one.
This is a guy that texted me after they had won the semifinal series against the Philadelphia 76ers and said, "You and everybody else has slept on me. I'm going to show y'all what I'm about. I'm going to show y'all what I'm made of."
I'm going to show you what I'm about. I'm going to show you what I'm made of, he said. That just shows me we haven't seen anything just yet. Jimmy Butler's got a hell of a lot more in store for us.
And we remember looking back to that courtside kind of tussle with Coach Spo and Udonis Haslem. We spoke about that, and I remember saying like that's not going to break this team. That's going to make them stronger. And I think they're 15-6 since that point. Like these guys are crazy. Like they're ready for this situation. So I'm still pretty confident in the Miami Heat because of Jimmy Butler. So I think this could be the season, maybe he finally gets his props. If he can lead them back to another NBA Finals, second time in 3 years, that's big time.
That's it. Listen, Jimmy Butler is that guy. One last question, BK, before we let you go. And I spoke to Parky about this on Friday morning. I felt like for these playoffs and obviously moving forward for the Miami Heat, there was a bit of an over-reliance on Jimmy Butler, though, because Tyler Hero has been a little bit inconsistent on the offensive end. Duncan Robinson didn't even play the other day, I think. Is there an over-reliance on Jimmy Butler?
Yeah, there is. And look, he's the number one guy on this team, but they have to get these other guys engaged. Tyler Hero has to be, putting the ball on the floor. Adebayo, we see him at his best when he's kind of initiating offense and facilitating from the elbow. And then, the role players, I mean, to be honest, I think have been good guys like Strus and Gabe Vincent as well. Like, that's been a pleasant surprise that's kind of papered over the fact that Kyle Lowry hasn't been available. Some of these other guys have kind of stepped up. But once it gets down to the pointy end of the season and the pointy end of games, like, you're going to need a secondary guy. And I think that guy is Tyler Hero. He's proven that this year, winning Sixth Man of the Year. But between him and Bam Adebayo, like, they have the personnel to support Jimmy Butler. But you see when it comes down to those big moments, Jimmy Butler's great at, we saw him in game one, baiting guys into fouls, getting to the free throw line, hitting those mid-range shots. That's all playoff basketball.
All right, BK, we're going to let you go. We're going to definitely see how this Eastern Conference Finals and Western Conference Finals both play out. We're going to catch you again on Monday morning. Thanks, mate.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, time to bring on old mate Parky, and we're going to start looking at these games that we've got coming up today and tomorrow and get the expert analysis on all these odds and picks for these games. Parky, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm very well, thanks, Nick. And we have to hold ourselves accountable as well. We've got to go over our picks that we had on Wednesday. So even Nick
Let's not, Parky. Let's not.
Even Nick gave us a pick. We've already covered that. You had the Mavs +5. That's all done. I went 1-1 on the Heat game. Heat -4.5. They obviously covered that. They won by 11 after that huge third quarter where they outscored the Celtics 39-14. And in fact, your boy Jimmy Buckets scored 17 points in that quarter himself. So he totally outscored the whole Celtics team and just turned that whole game around. So that was a good one for us. But in that the Mavs Golden State game, I had the over 214.5, and it only scored 199 points in the end. So I think that was more the Dallas offense letting us down there. So hopefully we've got a couple of winners today. We've got a great game 2 today with Celtics and Heat, and then of course tomorrow we've got game 2, Mavs at the Warriors.
Yeah, I think it was more the Warriors defense that let us down because they were playing such good defense on the Mavs that they couldn't get their numbers up on the board there, Parky.
Yeah, no, to hold Luka to 20 points, and he only had 6 field goals and 7 turnovers. So I don't think we're going to see that one again.
No, we're definitely not. I agree with you on that. Let's get into today's game, which should be a good one. We're going to take a look at the odds right now. We've got the Boston Celtics, Miami Heat. Miami Heat going into this one, slight favorites, Parky, $1.85. Celtics are $1.98. The line's at 1.5. Total is at 206.5. You can catch this one live on ESPN in about an hour or so. Parky, what are you seeing from this one?
Well, this all goes down to who's playing and the injuries, because I think, as you guys discussed, I think in that game 1, missing Al Horford as well as Marcus Smart was just a little too much for him to. And I think both those guys are back. From what I can tell, I think those guys are back. And there's actually a bit of an injury cloud or questionable guys on the Heat side with Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. I think they're questionable for this game today as well. And I think if we look at the prices too and the odds, the money has really come for the Celtics in this game. And that's going to be my pick in this game. I actually like the Celtics +1.5, or if you want a little bit more value for $1.99, I think you just get them for the win. And yeah, I just think that they've done well in these playoffs. The Celtics are actually 3-0 after a loss, and 2 of those have been on the road. So I think we've got to take that into consideration, that they're a really good bounce back team, as particularly if they're going to have Marcus Smart, the defensive player of the year, at their disposal, as well as our man, old man Al. If they've got those 2 guys back, I think the Celtics in this game, they can steal this one in Miami.
That's a fair point there, Parky. I didn't know about that stat about them being undefeated after dropping a game. That's kind of swaying me a little, because initially I was looking at Miami. I just think that Jimmy Butler's playing some incredible basketball at the moment. Now Strus being out too, and Gabe Vincent. I'm kind of leaning towards, my head's telling me to go towards Boston, but my heart's telling me Miami. I'm torn on this one, Parky. You know what? I'm going to stick with the heart. I'm going Miami to make it 2-zip.
Okay, well there we go. That's good. We disagree on that, so we're going to have you. Yeah, you've got the heat on that one. That's a great one. But and not only that, the 3 losses, the 3 games that they've bounced back in these playoffs and won after losses, they've won by an average of nearly 15 points. So that's another stat. The other thing I like in this game as well that we saw was the total points, the under over. It's at 206.5. Game 1 was 225 points, and I think no one expected it to go that high. But I think with the Heat, they're averaging 113 points at home during these playoffs. And I don't think they'll necessarily get 113, but let's just say they only get 103. I think the Celtics are going to at least get another, get 104, 105 and win in a close game. So, yeah, I like the over in that game as well. And the last game they played in, there was at least 53 points scored in every quarter. So if you do the math on that one, I think they're going to get that 206.5 pretty easy.
Yeah, that's some big numbers. All right. Well, one of us is going to live to regret this pick by Monday morning, and I'm sure we're going to be texting each other later on today. Let's move on and take a look at tomorrow's game as well. The Warriors going into this one here as big favorites. $1.38, Mavericks 310. The line's at -6.5. Totals at 214. So it was 204 the other day, 204.5, I believe. 214 for game 2, live on ESPN. Parky, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yes, well, I stayed away. I wanted to have a look at game 1 before I picked a team in this one, and you bravely went for the Mavs. Not to remind you of that again, but at least you had the guts to go take a pick of the team. But no, I like the Warriors to cover the 6.5. It's a bit of deja vu for me because I know in the last series that the Mavs had with the Suns, they lost game 1 on the road by a fair margin, as they did in this game 1. They lost by 25 points, and they came back and they made it a bit closer, but they still didn't cover the spread. So I think that's history is going to repeat itself in this round of playoffs as well. So I'm going to take the Warriors to cover that 6.5 points.
I'm with you, Parky, 100%. I don't think the Warriors are going to lose game 2 at home. They're definitely going to cover that spread. Depending on what happens in game 2, this might even end up being a pretty quick series for me. I think I had the Warriors in 6. I might go Warriors in 5, depending on what happens in game 2.
No, I agree. I agree with that. That's the way it's looking. These Warriors have been here and done that, and yeah, they're looking pretty good at Chase Center. The other thing I like, I want to have another crack at this over too. Like I said earlier in the show, they only scored 199 points combined when they played in game 1, but I think. I think the Mavericks are going to score more than, what did they have? They had 87 points. I think
87, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to score a lot more than 87. The Warriors, they're always good for 110 plus, at least, I'd say. So, no, I'm liking to have another crack at the over 214 points in this game as well.
All right, Parky. Anything else you want to add in? Anything you're seeing from these conference finals that you want to throw in before we go?
Well, no, not really, except I'm really enjoying the I guess the 3-pointers, and we did mention that the other day that it's basically the team that hits the most threes. But that's why, and I know you gave Jimmy buckets a lot of time on the show today, and so he should, because I think the most amazing thing that happened in his 41 points in game 1, he didn't have one 3-pointer. He went to the line 18 times. He was 17 from 18 from the line. He took this. He let the game come to him. He sort of played a bit of a sort of an old school sort of Michael Jordan type game, and Jimmy's the sort of guy that I don't think he had one 40-point game during the whole regular season, 82 games, and yet in the playoffs he's already had three games where he scored over 40. So yeah, Jimmy buckets, like he said in that tweet that we showed to Stephen A, that everyone's been sleeping on him, and now it's Jimmy time.
All right, there you go, guys. That's the last shot exclusive right there. Andrew Parkinson says Jimmy Butler is also better than
Here we go again. You know I'm an MJ guy, mate. You can tell by the year I was born. I'm an MJ guy.
All right, Parky, we're going to catch you again on Monday morning. And again, I think one of us is going to end up regretting one of these picks that we've made today.
Yeah, well, let's see how it all pans out. But no, looking forward to getting back on the show Monday and after a lot of these games. So it's just a wonderful time of year for NBA playoffs.
It certainly is. All right, Parky, thank you very much. This has been another episode of the Last Shot NBA show here on Little Birdie TV, brought to you by our great mates over there at topsport.com.au. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the hoops. We'll catch you guys Monday morning.